right, thank you for joining me today. I do truly appreciate it. And I've got a Twisted package in the mailbox today. Sick Twisted Retreat. I got a monthly book only this time subscription box, and I've bought books from Twisted Retreat before. I bought this one right here, Every House is Haunted, a collection of short stories by one of my favorite authors on God's green earth, Ian Rogers, and it was fantastic. It knocked my socks off. My socks were literally off because of this book. Figuratively speaking, literally though. Anyway, I liked what they did, so they've stayed on my radar. And then I heard a rumor swirling around out there in the cosmos and the interwebs, and came right through the video scope at me, that they were going to be publishing a Philip Fracassi book coming up in January, this coming January, 2026 that will be. And the Autumn Springs Retirement Home Massacre is one of my favorite books. Philip Fracassi is one of my favorite authors. So I had to jump on, get in, and get a seat, if you will, reserved on their monthly subscriptions, because I did not want to risk missing out. And the side effect is that I get other books in the mailbox. And here we go. This is November right now. As I record this, I don't know when it is when you watch this, November of 2025, and the friendly neighborhood mail lady has hooked a brother up with a package from Twisted Retreat. It's the book only box, so it's in a cool looking box, but there should only be book in here as well as stuff to protect it. So their book only box, if you just, the way I understand it, if you just want to buy one subscription for 1 month, you pay $27.99 for the book only box. And I think there's a little shipping in there. I'm assuming. So it seems like, if memory serves, it was something like $32 for me to get a book delivered. And so they put it in a cool looking box, and the book is wrapped in a relatively thick bubble mailer inside of a box. And we get right here, November 2026 is The Nightmare Man by J.H. Markert. And there is, well, spoiler alert, darling, cover your eyes. There is the cover artwork for the book. And it looks good. It looks really good. And here's a sneak peek for December. So if you care, watch. If you dare not, then cover your eyes. The sneak peek, the other side, Twisted Retreat, December 2025. A sneaky peeky at that right there. So looking cool. The Nightmare Man looks really cool. And let's open this thing up. And then I'll read. There's some cool stuff on this card here. I'll just go over it. The Twisted Retreat edition includes a redesigned dust jacket by Dev Forst, including foiling and UV gloss. Hardcover illustration by Artwork. Stenciled edges by Daydream Standard. Illustrated end pages, different front and back, with gloss by Congor Art. Ribbon bookmark, art in collaboration with the author and signed by the author. So there's a little bit of what to expect. So let's take it out and see what she looked like. So it's wrapped up well. A bubble mailer inside of a box ought to get us through most disasters that may occur in transit when you put a book in a bin and send it away across the country or across the world. And it's wrapped up in this, you can already see some iridescence looking cool, but it's wrapped up in plastic. And the internet tells us never leave your books wrapped in shrink wrap. And I always believe the internet, and I always do what the internet tells me to do. But I actually, I do. I take them out, and I'll put my dust jackets in a protector dust jacket. Brodart Adjustafold 3. But there was a time when I would buy limited edition books, and I would get a reader copy in many different ways, many different sources, whatever it might be, the library or the trade editions or whatever. But I would get limited editions from the publisher, and occasionally I would just leave them shrink wrapped. What the heck? Because I would have an assortment of them, sets or whatever. And on one occasion, years later, I decided to take all my books out of the shrink, put the Brodarts on the dust jackets, look at them, ogle them, admire them, whatever. And I found one from one publisher that was missing the signature sheet with the numbers and all that stuff on there. And I was lucky that wasn't a big selling book, and I contacted the publisher and they sent me a replacement. So it was all good, but it might have been disastrous. Imagine you think you got yourself a limited edition Stephen King book, for example. I say his name because his signed books are so expensive. And you think you got some special limited edition Stephen King book. And one day, years later, after the thing's long sold out and there's no way to get it, and you open up the shrink wrap and there's no signature. What are you going to do now? Nothing. You're SOL. So that's one reason. Also, they say that moisture gets trapped inside of sealed plastic. And I guess condensation, you might see moisture inside of stuff, and moisture on your book trapped isn't good for your book. So there's a lot of reasons why, but it's your book. You do what you do. Anyway, looking at this dust jacket for this Twisted Retreat special edition, it looks so nice. And yeah, it's iridescent. And man, if you can judge a book by the cover, I judge this book to be spooky, ominous, scary, creepy. The Nightmare Man by J.H. Markert. I've got to read this. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. And it's one of the cool things about subscriptions like this. If you can trust the curator, the publisher, whoever makes the decisions, if you can trust them, then you get some surprise reads and you get some exposure to authors and stories and things that you might not have considered on your own. So it's a fun thing. And I'm hoping for the best, hoping that I can find some stuff that I'll really like. But in the meantime and in between time, I've got this book that look at the stenciled edges on it, knocks the socks off. Just like before, now I'm sockless. And it's winter time, so I like socks in the winter time, so I got to be careful with that. But I'm going to take this dust jacket off and show you, stretch it out and show it to you. I'll show you everything. I'll show it all to you. But the artwork here is fantastic. Fantastic dust jacket. We'll talk in a minute if I can find a little something about this story. We'll talk in a minute about what the story is about. It's right there. Don't let me forget. I'd like to know myself while we're at it. But I showed you the dust jacket artwork, but now I'm going to show you the boards themselves. You see the iridescence again in the text, and it looks so cool. But artwork directly on the boards. And this is a style, I don't know what you really call it. I've always called it library binding or case laminate. I don't know all the right words. They're just words. But where you got the pictures directly on the book. I like it. It looks really good. Now, some of the higher end production methods don't allow for stuff like that. Cloth boards, leather covered boards, stuff like that. But I like it when I get illustrations directly on the boards. I wouldn't want every book in my collection to be that way, but it's neat to have variety, and this really, really looks cool. And again, check out the stenciling on all three ends, exposed ends of the pages. So I can't tell right now by looking. I'll see if I can get a better idea of the binding method. This is a sewn binding. And I could tell by opening it up, it exposed a little bit more of it. You could see what are they called? What are they called? Where the pages are all folded together. But you can see that whoop, 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 where they're sewn in. But it's a sewn binding. You get this built-in ribbon page marker that we mentioned there. The stenciling is fantastic. The end papers, holy cow. And again, look, you see the shiny. Awesome. I mean, this is what got these folks on my radar. They published the book that I wanted, and I saw what they did with it, and it's unbelievable what you end up with. Something that looks fantastic. Now you think $27.99, and I paid shipping too, so say $32, $33, something like that. For this, money's worth and then some. Very, very good stuff. But it is signed. I showed you the front end papers. Did I show you the rear? The rear was different. I can't remember. Did I show it? But the rear end papers, you see that the shininess looks so good. And then it's a signed edition, and signed is always better. This one is the signature page is not numbered. It is signed by author. It is signed there indeed. J.H. Markert and Twisted Retreat. Not numbered. I don't know how many they print. And sometimes if something is in big demand, they'll print some more. And I don't know. So I don't know how many they end up making. But I don't, it makes sense to me. If I make a product and I sell them all, and I got people asking for more, maybe I try to find a way to get more. Or in this case, order more, or make more, or whatever the case may be. But that should be it for illustrations. Reading this particular edition is what I'll be doing. This will be the one that I read. Usually I like to read a cheap copy, but I have it, and I didn't pay too much for it. I'll just be very careful. I worry when I read books with these stencil edges. I love the way they look, and I also worry that I'll damage it. But this is what you'll read. The paper is a little bit off-white. The text is a little bit small, a little bit on the small side. I don't think I have a problem with it at all, but that's up for you to decide on your reading pleasure. And I'm curious because Twisted Retreat doesn't, I don't know how they do things, but they don't make their books. The way I understand it is they'll get sometimes page blocks from the publisher. So let's say, for example, this one here is Crooked Lane in New York. And so what a publishers like Twisted Retreat might do is they might order, they'll get the printed page from the publisher, and then they'll have it rebound in a special features and things like that, and voila, you end up with something very, very nice. So they're usually not printing the books from scratch on their own, but they'll get the printed books and then they'll do something special and have somebody else do something special. And I don't know the ins and outs, but that's typically what you're going to get. You're going to get the trade edition of a book with lots of extra special features. And in their case, it's not just a matter of a signature page, tick the tape. What do they call it? Stuck. There's a word for it. I can't think of it now. Stuck in the book. There's so much more. And I've loved everything that I've gotten from them. There's different varieties and different designs, so they're not all done the same way. Sometimes you get a completely different boards, different materials, different style, no dust jacket, with dust jacket. There is a variety, and I like that. I like that a lot. So I think, I can't remember, but I think the last book I got from them was Cemetery Dance. And they put it in hardcover boards with a felty velvet sort of a feel to it, and stamped and metal end pieces on the corners. It was really cool. But it was so much different from this one, and so much different from the one that I showed you before. So the variety is also cool. And I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what they do with one of my favorite books. Definitely my favorite book of 2025, The Autumn Springs Retirement Home Massacre by Philip Fracassi. So I got some reading to do. Let's take a look at the back here and find out what this story is about. It says, Blackwood Mansion looms, surrounded by nightmare pines atop the hill over the small town of Crooked Tree. Ben Bookman, best-selling novelist and heir to the Blackwood estate, spent a weekend at the ancestral home to finish writing his latest horror novel, The Scarecrow. Now, on the eve of the book's release, the terrible story within begins to unfold in real life. Detective Mills arrives at the scene of a gruesome murder, a family butchered and bundled inside cocoons stitched from their corn husks and hung from the rafters of a barn, eerily mirroring the opening of Bookman's latest novel. When another family is killed in a similar manner, Mills, along with his daughter, rookie detective Samantha Blue, is determined to find the link to the book and the killer before the story reaches its chilling climax. As the series of Scarecrow crimes continues to mirror the book, Ben quickly becomes the prime suspect. He can't remember much from the night he finished writing the novel, but he knows he wrote it in the atrium, his grandfather's forbidden room full of numbered books, thousands of books, books without words. As Ben digs deep into Blackwood's history, he learns he may have triggered a release of something trapped long ago, and it won't stop with the horrors buried within the pages of his book. So it sounds like something I got to read. It looks like something I sure enough must read, and it feels like something special. So I can't wait to get into this one, and I'll let you know what I think. If you've read it, let me know what you think as well. I sure do appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me today. And I can think of no more lies to tell. So say la vie, baby. Doo-doo.